Welcome to Well Coached, a podcast about how people, sales, profit, and self can transform your business. I'm your host, Chris Weinberg, and I have helped hundreds of entrepreneurs get into their highest productivity zone and become corporate enough to succeed. Let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of the Well Coached podcast. Today, we are going to continue to focus in the lanes of people, sales, profit, and self. Specifically today, we're going to lean into the profit side of people, sales, profit, and self. Even more specific to that, we're going to talk about numbers and how entrepreneurs can often have a fear of sharing those numbers. And we're going to talk about how to get over that and how to parse that out in the right way. I'll tell you, as a business owner, my own experiences, I've struggled with this over time of how much do I share? What's appropriate to share? Do the team members even care? So we're going to dive into all of that. Remember, as entrepreneurs, when we start out, it's overwhelming, right? You're everything. You're the chief fry cook, the dishwasher, the guy that mops the floor, the girl that has to do the numbers or the accounting. It's an overwhelming thing. And as we work through our episodes here, we're going to constantly talk about pushing things down the org chart to the lowest common denominator where it can be handled appropriately and help the entrepreneur get rid of some time wasters that can be better handled at a different place on the org chart. So once again, we're going to be leaning into how to get entrepreneurs into your highest productivity zone, focusing on your strengths and delegating things appropriately. Sharing financial information is not easy to do. There's all kinds of fear things that can come up in there. Fear of vulnerability in revealing how the company is doing to the staff is scary. There may be fear of appearing weak at times if things aren't going well, or even incompetence or not knowing. There's fear of the employees not being able to understand or misinterpreting what you're telling them about the numbers. And then there's this misconception that keeping the financials private helps the entrepreneur maintain control. And that's hogwash. We're going to get rid of that. The key message here is that not sharing the numbers creates assumptions amongst employees about the business's health. That may be more damaging than true transparency. And I'll just give you a quick example of that. Most employees think the owner is killing it and generally making more money than what is true. Okay, so we're going to debunk that a little bit and say, here's how you can use the information appropriately to get your team members pulling for you in the same direction that you want to go. When you start sharing information, what it does is fosters trust and accountability amongst your staff. Remember that most employees want to do the right thing as long as they know what the right thing is. I'm going to give you an example. When I was in college, I was a bartender, and I loved it, by the way, and we were a busy bar. And so I thought that I was doing my company a favor by not taking meal breaks. But here's how my meal break looked. They had this dessert called French silk pie, and my God, chocolate is kryptonite for me. I'm type 1 diabetic, so I can't wait to rush to sugar, and this thing was the bomb. So what I would do every night, and this was like every night, I would just go into the walk-in cooler, eat a couple of pieces of French silk pie, and go back to my job of slinging drinks. I thought I was doing the boss a favor by not clocking out, taking a meal break, that kind of thing, because my thought process was keep revenue going. What I had never been explained to was, hey man, that's stealing, right? And understanding the margins of the restaurant business, for any of you that are in it, they are incredibly tight. So one missing piece of pie may kill the profit for the entire day for that restaurant. That was not my intent. My intent was not to steal. My intent was not to hurt the business. My intent was to help the business. But unaccountably, going and taking that French silk pie, which was delicious, was actually hurting the business from a profit standpoint. Now, had a boss sat with me and give me some kind of financial discipline about, here's what we pay for pie, here's what it costs us to make it, here's our margin on it, the aha would have gone off in my head, hopefully at a young age, that was not a great thing to do. So when employees are engaged and they can be more productive when they understand how their behaviors and how their actions impact the business's bottom line. So there's power in sharing a P&L statement. The benefits of this, again, when you are sharing financial information, and I'm not saying on day one, go out and take your P&L and show it to every single person on the team. But I am saying, let's create some ownership by your key team members around you and all the way down the org chart. What is appropriate information to share that they can handle, and more importantly, that they can help you with? When you're able to do that, it creates a sense of ownership. The same way if you're in a hospitality business and you say, we create raving fans through our experience with our guests, and here's how we do that. They take ownership and pride in that. The same is true if you say, here's how we manage our financial statement, and here's your part of that. That's another aha. And remember, we're always trying to tie people, sales, profit, and self together. Generally, we share the profit side and how an employee can help us in that area last, if ever. But when we have clarity where the team can improve and celebrate together, that's a big deal. Whether those are individualistic goals, whether they are team goals, everybody needs a number. A typical meeting might look like this. If it's your management team, show the whole P&L, and you start with the top, revenue. So what we would do here is we would take the P&L statement with our management team, and we walk through every number on a monthly basis. Because that management team is the folks on the team that can help you with the financial performance. So you don't want to just be talking to your managers about, help me hire good people, help me make sure the doors open at 11. It's all got to tie to a bottom line, because ultimately the bottom line has to be profitable. You're going to get there much faster if your team members are engaged with you. So what we would do is go, here's our revenue, we're either hitting our budget or not, but more importantly, we'd get into the cost of the business. We sell a hamburger for $10. What do we have to do to support that revenue in terms of labor, in terms of cost of good, in terms of electricity, in terms of rent, and then what's left over at the bottom? When employees can buy into that and understand it, they're naturally going to pull in the direction that you want them to be pulling, because they're a part of it now. Left unattended, employees always think that revenue or busyness means making a lot of money, and that is just not the case at all. How do we start doing this? The most successful businesses get into the drudgery of the numbers as often as possible. At a minimum, that should be monthly. Regular financial review meetings. It can also be daily, with daily shift meetings. If certain things are not going right, that the whole team can auto-correct. In the restaurant business, oftentimes that's silverware going into the trash can. Well, each one of those forks and each one of those knives have a dollar value associated with it. And every time that goes into the trash can, by accident, the owner now has to go spend money on new silverware versus enjoying a little bit of profit. So informing team members about those little things become huge benefactors to the bottom line of the business. The bottom line here is be transparent with your folks, but you don't want to overwhelm them, right? Like a new person on the team probably doesn't need to know what the rent of the place is, but they may need to know, hey man, be conscious of not throwing silverware in the trash because it costs us $1 every time we do that. Always encourage questions, always foster an open dialogue, and use your own best judgment about starting small, but then being consistent and building transparency and trust over time. The importance of shedding unnecessary tasks and outsourcing is paramount to entrepreneurs as you grow. Think of that in the financial management of your business, allowing other people on your team to help you manage different cost centers within the business that they can help impact. Sharing financials is not just about transparency, but it's about creating motivated, informed, and alignment within the team. So what I would encourage you to do, assuming that we have really good financials, is start small. Get your management team out this week or next month or whenever they come out. Pick 2 or 3 things. Maybe you focus on cost of goods sales. That is a non-threatening way to start sharing information with your team members that don't automatically tell them how much money you make. And ultimately, that's what we're all concerned about, folks knowing anyway. So start with something that's not threatening, but something that they can impact. As an entrepreneur, you want to get the most out of your team so that they understand the full picture. That includes the numbers: people, sales, profit, and self. And by sharing the financials, you create a culture of trust, accountability, and empowerment that drives better results. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Well, guys, that's a wrap for today. We thank you a ton for listening and looking forward to the next episode where we'll continue this journey on how becoming corporate enough can put you in your highest productivity zone to create a successful, profitable, and purpose-driven business for you.